Hello everyone, welcome back to Stock Market Meridian. Today is 24th August 2026 and you're watching today's pre-market report. Let's begin with the global markets, starting with the US markets. On Friday, all major US indices closed in the green and currently US index futures are also trading in the positive zone. Moving to the European markets, European indices also closed in the strong positive zone. Now, looking at the Asian markets, Japan, China and South Korea markets are currently trading in the negative zone. So overall, global markets are indicating a neutral to negative sentiment for today. Now, let's move to commodities. US WTI crude oil is currently trading around $84 to $86 per barrel, while Brent crude is trading near $93 to $95 per barrel. Yesterday, Indian crude oil futures ended with nearly 0.6% gains, while natural gas futures gained around 1.4%. In the precious metals segment, Indian gold futures gained more than 1.9%, while silver futures also closed around 1.4% higher. With Brent crude remaining close to the $95 per barrel level, crude oil prices will continue to remain an important factor for the Indian markets. Now, let's check ADR data. On Friday, HDFC Bank, Infosys, ICICI Bank and Dr. Reddy's Laboratories ADRs closed in the positive zone. On the other side, Reliance Industries and Wipro ADRs closed in the negative zone. Overall, ADR data indicates strong sentiment across the banking sector, while the IT sector remains mixed. Now, moving to FII and DII data. On Friday, FIIs remained net sellers for the second consecutive session, selling around 544 crore rupees. Meanwhile, DIIs continued their buying activity with net purchases of around 2,124 crore rupees. So, domestic institutional buying continues to provide some support to the Indian markets. Now, let's check the economic calendar. On Friday, India's services PMI came in above both the previous reading and market expectations. However, manufacturing PMI remained weaker. A similar trend was seen in the US, with services PMI showing strength while manufacturing PMI remained under pressure. India's foreign exchange reserves also increased from the previous level. For today, there are no major economic events. However, tomorrow we will get important data including German GDP, US consumer confidence and US new home sales. And now, one of the biggest events to watch this week is the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, scheduled from August 27 to 29 in Wyoming. The key focus will be the speech from US Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh, marking his first keynote address as Fed chairman. Investors will closely watch his comments for clues about the Fed's approach toward persistent inflation, economic growth, and future interest rate decisions. Since Warsh provided limited forward guidance after the July FOMC meeting, markets are treating this speech as an important opportunity to understand his monetary policy stance. Any hawkish or dovish signals could have a direct impact on US Treasury yields, the US dollar, global equity markets, and capital flows into emerging markets like India. So traders will be watching Jackson Hole very closely ahead of the September FOMC meeting. Now, coming to the geopolitical updates. Tensions between the United States and Iran remain elevated. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is expected to announce what the administration describes as its toughest sanctions yet against Iran. At the same time, Iranian officials have warned about potentially restricting oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important energy routes. Iran's parliament is also considering a proposal that could require foreign ships passing through the strait to pay fees to Iran. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has intensified the rhetoric surrounding the strategic waterway. However, diplomatic efforts are also underway. Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir is traveling to Tehran in an attempt to mediate between Washington and Tehran and reduce tensions. Inside Iran, President Masoud Pezeshkian has also indicated that the country cannot continue the war indefinitely. Meanwhile, regional tensions remain high after an Israeli drone strike in southwestern Syria reportedly injured several civilians. For the markets, the biggest concern remains the Strait of Hormuz and crude oil supply. Any disruption to oil shipments could push crude prices higher and create fresh pressure on global inflation and equity markets. Now, coming to the major updates from India. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is in Beijing for the 25th round of special representative talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The discussions are focused on maintaining peace along the India-China border and managing line of actual control tensions. The talks are taking place ahead of the upcoming BRICS summit in New Delhi, scheduled for September 12th and 13th. A possible meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the summit is also being closely watched. India has repeatedly emphasized that peace and tranquility along the border are essential for improving bilateral relations. The current discussions are therefore aimed at preventing localized escalations, maintaining communication, and ensuring adherence to existing border management agreements. Next, a major regulatory update from the Petroleum Ministry. The government has instructed states and union territories to provide district-level support for accelerating the transition of households from LPG cylinders to piped natural gas or PNG. Under the new rules, households will generally not be allowed to retain both an LPG connection and a PNG connection once PNG infrastructure becomes operational. If eligible households do not apply for PNG after due notice, their LPG cylinder supply could be discontinued. District supply officers will coordinate the transition, while city gas distribution companies and oil marketing companies will conduct consumer outreach and verification. The move is also aimed at reducing India's exposure to international LPG shipping disruptions, particularly during geopolitical tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. Greater PNG adoption could also reduce the transportation and delivery costs associated with LPG cylinders and improve utilization of India's expanding city gas infrastructure. Now, let's move to the important company updates announced after Friday's market close. First, Axis Bank has raised $300 million through senior debt instruments in the international market. The notes carry a fixed coupon of 5.179% per annum and were issued under the bank's existing $5 billion global medium-term note program. The securities will be listed on India's international financial markets at GIFT City, including India INX IFSC and NSE IFSC. The fundraising will strengthen Axis Bank's foreign currency liquidity and support its overseas asset book and international corporate lending operations. Next, Apollo Microsystems is moving ahead with its open offer to acquire a substantial stake in Premier Explosives. The offer covers around 1.40 crore shares, representing 26% of Premier Explosives, at an offer price of Rs 698 per share. The offer is being made under SEBI's takeover regulations. The tendering process can begin after the required CCI approval, while successful shareholders must receive payment within the prescribed timeline. Next, Power Grid Corporation of India has emerged as the successful bidder for a major interstate transmission project in Gujarat. The project has an annual discovered tariff of around Rs 822.91 crore rupees and will be developed under the BOOT model. The transmission system will support renewable energy evacuation from the Jam-Khambhalia and Jamnagar renewable energy zones, covering a combined 6.5 gigawatts of clean power. The project includes a new gas-insulated substation, transformer and bay augmentation, along with 765 kV transmission lines across Gujarat. Now, Grasim Industries is also in focus. Chairman Kumar Mangalam Birla said the company is targeting consolidated revenue of around Rs 2 lakh crore in FY27. That compares with a record Rs 1.75 lakh crore in FY26, meaning the company is approaching a near doubling of revenue over roughly 5 years. Grasim is transforming from a traditional materials business into a diversified group with 10 major business verticals, including building materials and clean energy. The company is also expanding its cement capacity and building a larger renewable energy platform with visibility toward 10 gigawatts and a longer-term target of 20 gigawatts or more. Next, Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles has announced a price increase of up to 25,000 rupees across its passenger vehicle and SUV range. The new prices will be effective from September 1st, 2026. The increase applies to both ICE vehicles and electric vehicles, with the exact increase depending on the model and variant. The company said the price hike is aimed at partially offsetting higher raw material and manufacturing costs. Now, a major long-term growth update from State Bank of India. SBI Chairman C.S. Setty has projected that the bank's total business could reach 170 to 180 lakh crore rupees, with the potential to touch 200 lakh crore rupees by 2030. SBI's total business currently stands at around 110.01 lakh crore. The bank expects its balance sheet to grow at around 11 to 12% annually, supported by India's expected economic growth. SBI is also targeting stronger operational efficiency while maintaining a CET1 ratio of around 12% and total CRAR of around 15%. Next, Kaynes Technology has entered into a strategic partnership with Boss Game to expand India's local computing ecosystem. The collaboration will cover products such as mini PCs, laptops, tablets, and desktop monitors. Kaynes will provide electronics design, engineering, manufacturing, testing, supply chain management, and after-sales support. The partnership supports India's broader push towards design-led manufacturing and domestic electronics production. Now, an interesting legal development involving Urban Company and Kentaro. The Delhi High Court has directed Kentaro to remove advertisements and social media content that Urban Company claimed were disparaging its native water purifiers. The dispute relates to Urban Company's claims around 2-year filter life and zero servicing. Kent has agreed to remove the disputed content and not run similar campaigns in the future. The two companies are also involved in other ongoing legal disputes, including patent-related litigation. The case highlights the growing competition between established appliance brands and new-age direct-to-consumer companies. And finally, a major trend developing across the FMCG sector. Over the past year, several major consumer companies, including HUL, Godrej Consumer, Britannia, Dabur, Colgate, and Nestle India, have gone through significant leadership changes. These changes come at a time when FMCG companies are dealing with slower volume growth, stronger competition from D2C and regional brands, changing consumer behavior, and rising input costs. Companies are increasingly looking for leadership with stronger expertise in e-commerce, quick commerce, digital distribution, data-driven supply chains, and premium product segments. So this leadership transition could become an important theme for India's consumer sector going forward. And that's all for today's pre-market report. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stock Market Meridian. And I'll see you again this evening with today's post-market report. Thank you for watching. Signing off, Jai Hind.